When we were in school, we all learned the rules for the future tense, right? Use will for this, going to for that. But what if I told you those simple rules aren't really the whole story? Today, we're going to dive into a much more accurate and frankly more natural way to talk about the future in English.
Look, those standard textbook rules, they're a decent place to start for sure. But as this quote points out, they're not always accurate. They just don't explain all the little quirks and exceptions we hear and use in everyday English. And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, so to really get why this is so cool, let's just do a quick recap of the classic rules for the future tense. The ones you probably had to memorize for a test at some point.
So this is probably what you remember, right? This three-part system. We're taught to use will for a decision made on the spot, use going to when you already had an intention, and use the present continuous, like I am meeting, for a fixed arrangement. Seems straightforward enough, doesn't it?
Well, let's see what happens when we actually put that simple little rule book to the test, because this is where we run into a puzzle that the standard rules just can't seem to solve. All right, take a look at these two sentences. I'm reading the book tonight, and he is meeting Ahmed tonight. Now, according to the rule we just saw, both of these seem like fixed arrangements, so both of them should be correct. But as you can see, one of them is just wrong.
And that right there is the big question, isn't it? If they both describe a future arrangement, why does I am reading the book tonight sound so unnatural to a native speaker, while he is meeting Ahmed tonight is perfectly fine? The traditional rules just don't have a good answer for this.
As it turns out, the answer has absolutely nothing to do with how fixed the plan is. The real key is hiding in plain sight. It's the verb.
So here it is, the big reveal. The deciding factor isn't the type of plan you have, not at all. It's the type of verb you're using. And I'm telling you, this one simple shift in thinking unlocks this entire puzzle.
So to really understand this, we need to sort our verbs into three distinct groups based on how they behave. This is going to tell us exactly when we can, and more importantly, when we can't, use the present continuous for the future.
Okay, first up we have Group A, subject-only verbs. The easiest way to think about these is as solo actions. The subject, the person doing the thing, decides to do it all by themselves, without any cooperation needed from the object of the sentence. The verb read is a perfect example of this. It's a solo action. I decide to read the book doesn't get a vote. It's a one-way street. And because of that, you can't use the present continuous for a future plan. I'm reading now is totally fine for this moment. But for the future, you have to switch to I am going to read.
Next up, we have Group B. These are causative or reciprocal verbs. Now, these are basically the polar opposite of Group A. With these verbs, the action requires cooperation or the subject causes the object to act. It's a team effort, not a solo decision.
Let's see how this works in the wild. The verb to meet obviously requires two parties to agree. It's cooperative. He and Ahmed are both in on the plan. And to bring out is causative. One thing causes another. Because these verbs involve more than just the subject's solo decision, the present continuous works perfectly. And this is exactly why he is meeting Ahmed tonight is correct.
And finally, our third bucket is Group C, intransitive verbs. Now, these are just verbs that don't have a direct object at all. Think of actions like sit, arrive, or go. And because there's no object to cooperate with, they end up behaving a lot like those solo action verbs back in Group A.
Yep, just like our Group A verbs, these describe a solo action. So, I am sitting describes what's happening right now, in this very moment. Because there's no cooperative piece to it, you can't use it to talk about a future arrangement. If you want to talk about your future plan, you'd use I am going to sit.
So now that we're armed with this new knowledge about how different verbs behave, we can build a much more accurate and reliable toolkit for talking about the future. It's way better than the old one.
So here's your new three-step process. It's super simple. First, just identify the verb in your sentence. Second, ask yourself, is this a solo action where only the subject is deciding, like read or write? If it is, avoid the present continuous for the future. And third, is the verb cooperative or causative, like meet or bring? If the answer is yes, then the present continuous is a fantastic and really natural way to talk about that future plan.
So, the next time you're making plans in English, don't just think about the plan. Think about the verb. I'm curious, how might this simple shift change the way you listen to and speak English every day? It's a small detail that can make your English sound that much more natural. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.